Hey Lorain County football fans, welcome back to another episode of The Blitz, brought to you by our friends at First Federal Savings of Lorain. I'm your host, Rocco Nushi, the one and only Kristen Bauer behind the camera, and we are live here at North Ridgeville, where those Rangers are 4-0, folks, for the first time since 2009. So we'll jump into that and much more. Don't forget to subscribe to the Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel. Give the channel a like. Hit the little bell icon in the corner as well. That's the best way to stay up to date with all the latest content and all the latest episodes of The Blitz. So let's get into things, and before we do get to North Ridgeville, got to give a shout out to those Avon Eagles. Head coach Mike Elder and friends, they get some payback on the Shoremen of Avon Lake in week 4. They go on the road and knock off Avon Lake 42-21, handing the Shoremen their first loss of 2022. And, after the game, a lot of the conversation was about, fatigue, cramping, Avon maybe in a little bit of better playing shape, maybe a little more ready for the contest than Avon Lake was. And looking at some of the numbers, look, this was a back and forth contest, really all the way up until the closing stages as Avon finally kind of pulled away there. Late third quarter, heading into the fourth quarter as well. But again, this was back and forth. Avon up a score in the third quarter. Wade Nelson, a 98-yard kickoff return touchdown for the Shoremen. But as I said, too much Eagles offense, and it was too late for the Shoremen at that point, as Sam DiTilio, the quarterback for Avon, he was doing his thing, had a fantastic game, a couple of throwing errors with some interceptions, but really did a good job of commanding the offense. And Jacorian Caffey, we know all about what the running back can do. He had a pair of touchdowns along with 89 rushing yards. So the Eagles, they get the rivalry win, and they move to 3-1. They knock Avon Lake down to 3-1. And again, after the game, both sides, both Coach Elder and Coach Gosneldik, talking about the fatigue of the players, some cramping issues with Avon Lake, something that Coach Kostelnik said will not happen again with his group. He knows his guys will be better prepared and in better playing shape moving forward. So I think maybe the non-conference schedule for Avon playing in their favor heading into that game against Avon Lake, and it showed again as they knocked off the Shoremen. And again, North Ridgeville, 4-0 for the first time since 2009. They get a win over Amherst, 34-3, the final score there. Freshman running back Zach Barnhart, another 100-yard rushing performance for him, a pair of rushing touchdowns as well. He continues to have a fantastic 2022, but it was the supporting cast as well. You look at sophomore quarterback Brendan Watchorn. He had a very, very efficient night, completing 6 of his 9 passes. That's right, he just threw 9 total passes, but 208 yards for him through the air, 2 passing touchdowns. One went to Mason Worcester, an 86-yard catch and run. The other to Charlie Steinmetz, an 83-yard catch and run. So some big plays really paying big dividends for the Rangers so far early on in the season. They have a huge test this week, though. We'll get to that in just a second. And how about Levi Ellis of Elyria Catholic? Another dominant rushing week for him. He had 291 yards and 3 touchdowns in a 28-14 win over Holy Name. And Ethan Lorenzana as well for Clearview. How about those Clippers at 2-2 so far through 4 weeks? Lorenzana had 206 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground in a win over Brookside. So shout out to that young man. And how about the Falcons of Firelands? They had over 400 yards on the ground as a team as they throttled Wellington over the weekend. Weston Strader leading the way there. He had 159 yards and 3 touchdowns in week 4. So now looking at week 5, there are some good ones this week. And I want to start with North Ridgeville. We will have their game against Olmsted Falls right here at the home of the Rangers on the WEOL.com stream 2, and this should be a really good game, folks. Are the North Ridgeville Rangers for real? I think this is the week where we really start to find that out, as again they take on Olmsted Falls. The Bulldogs throttled Midview this past week, 47-10 was the final score there, and we kind of know what Coach Tom DeLuca's crew is all about, right? With that triple option that they run, Rocco Conti and Michael Cando, a nice 1-2 punch in that backfield. Conti had over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Middies last week, so the defense for Coach Brian Morgan will certainly have their hands full, so it can't just be Zach Barnhart on the ground, right? It's got to come from some other people as well. So we'll see how the Rangers are able to handle that Friday night. Again, it'll be right here against Olmsted Falls on WEOL.com. Stream 2, we'll have it live for you. On the radio and Stream 1 at WEOL.com, a Lorain County League battle as Keystone takes on Wellington. Look, the Wildcats, they get their first win of the 2022 season this past week over Oberlin. 41-12 was the final score there. That was after an 0-3 start, not something that Coach Griswold and his Wildcats were accustomed to at all. They were getting out physical through the first couple of weeks. They get back on track against Oberlin. Can Can they keep that going against Wellington, who have some question marks in their own regard? They're still without their first win of the season. They've had some injury issues, especially at quarterback. Sophomore Landon Wright got the nod last week. What do they do this week with some guys still banged up? So we'll have that one. Keystone at Wellington on the radio and Stream 1 at WEOL.com. And our Medina County matchup on Stream 3. This should be a really good one, folks, as Strongsville will be at Medina to take on the Bees. We are very curious what Medina would look like this year, losing Drew Aller as he went to Penn State in the fall. By the way, shout out to Drew. He threw his first collegiate touchdown pass this weekend for Penn State, so shout out to Drew Aller for that. But Strongsville at Medina this upcoming Friday in Week 5 should be a good one. Danny Stoddard, the quarterback now for the Bees, kind of picking up where Drew left off last year, man. He has just been absolutely fantastic this season. We saw him against Avon earlier in the year. The Bees didn't get the win there, hoping for better results this week against Strongsville. The Mustangs, they're just 2-2 coming off a 10-0 loss to Solon. Some other matchups quickly to keep an eye on. Elyria is at Avon. Can the Pioneers compete with the Eagles this time around? This is a better coached Pioneer squad in recent years under Coach Devlin Culliver. He's done a heck of a job with them, despite a lot of adversity within the program. So I'm wanting to see how they do against Avon this week. Elyria Catholic is at Rocky River. The Pirates stole this one from Coach Brian Fox and friends last year on a game-winning kick right at the last second. So how can the Panthers respond this week? I got my eyes on that one. And a tough test for Lorain, as they are at Cleveland Heights to take on a very good Tiger football team. I know this is one that Coach Damian Creel, kind of a test for his crew. How far have they really come in terms of competing week in and week out? This will be a good test for them against Cleveland Heights. So there's kind of your Week 5 preview. Hard to believe we're already in Week 5, moving right along in this high school football season. What an exciting one it's been so far. Looking for some more fun action here in Week 5. So that'll do it for this week's episode of The Blitz. For Kristen Bauer, I'm Rocco Nushi, once again saying thank you for listening to The Blitz, brought to you by our friends at First Federal Savings of Lorain. Make sure you like and subscribe to that Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel for all the latest, and we'll see you next week, folks.